Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to Nanatsu no Taizai 2A8 Operation God. Now, we have my boy Grim Reaper in the back, always calling out my haircuts and shit. I mean, I see you. I see you. Nah, it's cool. I mean, like, to be fair, it's questionable. But I make do. So, so this chapter, Operation God, no script on this one. I couldn't be bothered to write a script. I was like, you know what? I want to do the review as soon as I could. But I couldn't be asked to write a review just because it takes longer to write the review than it does to actually to write up my notes and stuff like that, key points and things like that, than it does to actually do the review. So I'd rather just do the review. So we start with Zeldris pulling people in, vacuuming everyone in, and it starts off from the end of last chapter, right from the end of last chapter. So we have I was going to say Margaret. We have Ruduciel and Escanor kind of observing Zeldris' abilities. Once again, talking about the fact that, you know, he can nullify all magical abilities as part of his Demon King's abilities. And then he has Ominous Nebula, which pulls people in towards him, then strikes them with this invisible attack that we can't seem to make heads or tails of. So we can't reach him physically, or we can't reach him magically. How are we supposed to do this? How are we supposed to do anything to him? So they're trying to figure out the nature of his attack, and then this part seemed very Dragon Ball Z-ish. There's going to be loads of manga references, I think, in this review. So this part seemed very Dragon Ball Z-ish. Essentially, we have Escanor doing the kind of Tien / Krillin / Goku / Solar Flare kind of attack, blinding everyone. Zeldris is just there with one eye open, and then he goes and like throws the Spirit Ball right at Cruel Sun. Hey, look at that. He throws what looks like a Spirit Ball straight at Zeldris, and obviously this doesn't affect Zeldris in any way. But actually, he doesn't throw it technically at Zeldris. He throws it towards Zeldris, but at the ground, and this throws up a whole bunch of rubble. So what their idea was, what Ruduciel's idea here was, that no matter how powerful an ability is, there's always a blind side or a blind spot to the ability. So what he was hoping was, with all this rubble up in the air, Zeldris essentially wouldn't be able to see what was going on. So he's been waiting for people to attack him and then counter-attacking. So it has the same kind of principle as full counter, which is what he observes. This is Ruduciel speaking. So Ruduciel's idea is, we simply need to kind of throw up this rubble and then calculate our own timing against your attack, and we should be able to strike you if you're unable to see or hear us or anything like that. We should be able to throw off your timing with all this rubble and attack you. So that's exactly what they do. Escanor and Ruduciel then try and land an attack, and Zeldris just bitch slaps him back into the wall. And so they're both a little cut up and bleeding. Zeldris is just stood there looking tonk as fuck. And Margaret, Ruduciel is there like, how did he see through our attacks again? You know, what the hell? We obstructed his field of vision. How could he possibly be seeing through our attacks? So Zeldris then gets a bit pissed off, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to get serious. And he basically widens his stance, throws his sword out, makes himself look really cool. And actually, I mean, I say really cool, but one of his legs has gone like full stanky leg, and it doesn't look as cool as I thought it did originally. I mean, like, he widens his stance, his hand is out, but then one of his legs looks like it just broke. So, you know, not as cool as I thought. But what he does is he multiplies the effect of this Ominous Nebula, which should really be Black Hole. I mean, like, not officially, just from my own point of view. And what this does is it multiplies the speed and intensity of his vacuum. So he pulls in everyone. He pulls in what's her face? He pulls in Merlin, Gil Thunder, Hendrickson. He pulls in those three specifically first, because I think even now Escanor and Ruduciel have some, like, they're able to resist it just slightly. They're holding on for dear life, essentially. So Merlin realizes here, she's like, shit, I can't teleport away in time. I was pulled in too quickly. And Zeldris is prepared to land the kill shot here. However, as he's landing the kill shot, Escanor comes in and saves Merlin, taking the shot for her. But she does get slightly wounded across the shoulder, which annoys Escanor greatly. My phone's vibrating. Yeah, I think she's... Yeah, it looks like she's wounded slightly on the right shoulder, which causes Escanor to kind of go, like, kind of Super Saiyan-ish, but not really Super Saiyan-ish, because he's always at, like, max output anyway. So he unleashes this move called Crazy Prominence, which essentially, like, he just lets out a whole ton load of meteorites, essentially, and it, like, explodes all over the place. The cavern takes a huge amount of hits. Zeldris just nullifies the ability. Chandler and Cusack seem to get hit as well, but they just tank the shots. And Rudusiel's just there concerned as shit. So what happens here though, and this is a kind of a key moment, is that this attack causes rubble to start breaking from the roof, and this huge piece of debris just falls straight on top of Zeldris. And this is where Merlin observes what Zeldris' abilities are, and she notices that the rubble that crashes into him just breaks apart into tiny fragments, while Zeldris is kind of escapes from this drop. So what she realizes here is that his ability is simple but incredibly brutal, and his ability doesn't depend on sight, any of his senses really. What he does is the nature of his ominous nebula is he gets the inner darkness that all these demons seem to possess as their kind of magical ability. He's using his darkness, and he's accelerated it around himself like thin fibers, essentially, not too thin, like arm thickness it looks like. And he's accelerated these tendrils all around him at like insane speeds, which causes this vacuum because they're going in a circular fashion. So everything outside is being pulled into this vacuum. And I assume that the speed of the rotation is what the vacuum is kind of dependent on. The strength of the vacuum is dependent on. So yeah, and this, because it's darkness, it also acts as kind of like a shredder essentially. If someone comes anywhere near him, it will also attack them. So she kind of coins this attack / defense full react, and she just kind of coined that from full counter. And I was like, it's kind of it's a shit name. I mean, like if Zeldris had his own name for it, that would be better. But yeah, so essentially he's using his darkness, spinning it around him at incredible speeds, pulling everything in, and then whatever it hits gets diced or like smacked into a wall like 5 meters away or something, or 10 meters away. So once again, Rudusiel and everyone gets pulled in. Rudusiel tries to land an attack. He kind of spawns a light sword again, and he's spewing his same shit, as the leader of the archangels, as the kind of head of the archangels and the demon, the angels and stigma and stuff like that. Angels, the goddesses. I need to defeat you for the sake of the holy war. And then he also mentions this part where he says, I've sacrificed everything to accomplish this kind of winning of the holy war. He sacrificed love, friendship, everything. So we see him holding like this dead, the body of some sort of archangel, not an archangel, the body of a goddess, but it's a dude, and he's bleeding from the chest, and you see Rudusiel just crying. So does this mean that Rudusiel was like had a lover who was a dude? Does he swing that way, or is it simply like his best friend or something like that? It could be either one, but it might be like the first kind of LGBT character in manga, and I don't really, if it's there, cool, whatever. I don't really mind so much. It's not something that concerns me, but yeah, I just thought that was pretty decent. So let me know what you guys think, partner or what, his best friend or something like that. So Rudusiel continues to try and attack Zeldris, and then gets almost bitch slapped until Gilthand. I'm not sure what it is with these humans and their tendency to just want to jump in front of Zeldris and get their asses whooped. I mean, like, y'all can't do shit. And basically the reason why Gilthand did it is because Rudusiel is just willy-nilly throwing his body around because he's in Margaret's body, and Gilthand couldn't let Margaret die. So he jumps in front, gets his chest cleaved, and obviously Hendrickson's shitting himself because he's essentially what is his nephew, kind of, not in terms of blood, but kind of in relationship, just got sliced up by Zeldris. So Zeldris is then just like, what, all that's left is Escanor and Merlin. So he's getting ready to pop them and just destroy them. And then you see Merlin kind of smiling and Escanor saying, hang in there for a minute. I'm just going to kind of go do my thing. So Merlin goes, a super combo, teleports like everyone out of there, I think. And Escanor does like this nice heel like pivot thing. He just twists on his heel. And you have Cusack, like, he's concerned. He's like, yo, why is this guy able to walk freely through Zeldris' ominous nebula? Actually, I think Zeldris asks him that, and he asks if Escanor is some sort of monster. And then we know what was going to go down. Escanor says, you know what, be it Meliodas, be it Esterossa, be it any of you brothers, you're all just asking for me to kick your asses, So we have Chandler recognizing this magic. He's like, shit, where have I seen this before? Where have I felt this before? Because he has felt this before. We have Escanor raising a finger. I'm not sure what he's like. Is he gonna do something else to Zeldris? I don't want to know. He's like, I have no idea what he's gonna do, but I don't want to know. So Escanor assumes he's the one form, and he says the time has come to basically wipe the floor with Zeldris. Now, just a key thing to point out here, loads of people have mentioned it, but there was a mistranslation when we first saw the one being released against Attack Mode Meliodas, or Assault Mode Meliodas, which was that Escanor's the one form isn't kind of like this battery where he's absorbed all this energy from like Sunshine, using his ability Sunshine, and he just lets it all out when he's the one. That's not how it works. I think the one is just, he assumes like the mantle of the peak of existence. Not necessarily, he just assumes his peak form at the one at high noon for a minute, but he doesn't act like some sort of battery. That was a mistranslation. I've forgotten what the actual translation was. The translation was more to do with how the stress affected his body, and how now that he's achieved the one form, and then after the one form, how all the stress affected his body, and he couldn't handle that, and not so much that he couldn't handle the stress of releasing all of that energy. So that's a point there. But also, Zeldris should be stronger than the Assault Mode Meliodas. I mean, like, Assault Mode Meliodas got his ass destroyed by the one Escanor, but the one Escanor shouldn't be able to just handle Zeldris like he's nothing. Zeldris should be a lot more powerful than Assault Mode Meliodas was, especially seeing as he's Assault Mode, as Zeldris is taking on Ruduciel, whose power level is at 201k or something like that. So this should be an interesting fight. The next chapter is called Pride versus Piety, or Piety. I think it's Piety. Is it Piety? Let me know. So let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me know what you guys thought of this review, and I'll see you guys in a bit.